Hey guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from the ones I've done before. I'll be showing you guys the entire process of drawing Dolores Madrigal from the new Disney Encanto movie. This video is going to be about 20 minutes long, so grab your sketchbook and let's draw together. I really went slow and took my time on this drawing, and I didn't really rush it like the other ones that I do. So this whole process took right about 3 hours to finish. I was actually watching Encanto in the process of drawing this, so I kind of watched it 2 times back to back just to finish this drawing. And the soundtrack that accompanied this movie was absolutely amazing. Being Hispanic myself, Encanto was one of my favorite movies that Disney has ever made. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. As a child, I didn't really see people of color or curly hair incorporated into the characters that I loved. And I'm sure there were shows out there that had it, but I never really came across most of them. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love Encanto so much, because they showed a whole bunch of different skin colors underneath the same roof. Encanto got added to Disney Plus over the holidays, and since I went home for the holidays, I had the privilege of watching this with my entire family. I'm planning on drawing the entire Madrigal family in this same style. So let me know what character I should draw next. Okay, it's time for a short but important self-promo. Me and a group of my friends are currently in the process of working on a really cool project. We're working really hard on creating and animating a new cartoon series. Not only that, but we've made a complete soundtrack for this show. We're still working out a lot of the details, but trailers should be coming out soon. It takes place on a little island somewhere in Central or South America, and it's called Count Calypso. It's about a little vampire who's stuck on this island because of a curse, and all he wants to do is get off of it. And in the process of trying to break his curse, he finds out some island secrets and comes across some really interesting creatures. I have quite a lot of concept sketches and drawings and fully finished pieces just on this show that I haven't shown you guys yet, so if you guys want to hear more about this, let me know and I can definitely make a video on it. And if you're interested about the show, be sure to follow me on Instagram for updates. Okay, now back to what we're actually working on. I had a really fun time putting together this drawing. I mentioned earlier that I really took my time on this drawing, and that's not something I normally do. When I start a new piece, I normally rush it and I try to see how fast I can finish it. And I try not to worry too much about the little details in my sketches. But it was actually quite relaxing to just sit here and really take my time, even on the sketch. Now, if you guys follow me on my Instagram and have been watching my videos, you probably notice I don't really have a particular style. Now, my thinking might change in the future, but as of right now, I really don't want to limit myself to one way of drawing everything. I just let creativity take the lead on this, and whatever my brain wants to draw, that's what I'm gonna do. I end up redrawing and tweaking and just messing around with this face because I wasn't getting the facial expression I really wanted for this drawing. But one of my favorite things about all of this is I just loved the way those freckles looked on her face. She has freckles in the actual movie. I pulled up a whole bunch of references and I really studied her face. And I just really loved the way that those freckles made her look. Here I am tweaking the eyes, trying to make her look in one direction, and it was a lot of tweaking because it just wasn't coming out right for me. Alright, and with that, the sketch is mostly done. However, I did start to mess around with the eyebrows, just to try and make it look like she's actually listening. I couldn't really decide exactly how I wanted the eyebrows to look, and to be honest with you, I'm still not completely happy with it. For the line art, I ended up using the ink bleed brush that comes with Procreate. And if you're wondering what brush I used for sketching, I'm pretty sure I used the Derwent that came with Procreate as well. I also messed around with mouth shape on this one. I really couldn't find the one that I really wanted, but after about 10 minutes, I finally found what I actually wanted. In a lot of the reference images that you find on Google, her mouth is kind of like leaning towards one side. I really couldn't figure out how to do that. I tried, I gave up, so I just went back to a standard mouth shape. This is the mouth shape I finally settled on. I tweaked it just slightly, but it's a lot better than what I was trying to do. And for her eyes, I wanted to have a Disney-like feel, but I didn't want it to be actually Disney eyes. And since the eye style I chose has that like eyeliner or maybe eyelashes on one corner, I wanted to add a little corner on the inside or like the inner corner of the eyeliner. I had to look at a lot of references to figure out what her jewelry is because from just watching the movie, I couldn't tell if her earrings were sunflowers or if they were just golden circles with a brown center. And I'm not the only person that's had this problem. I've seen a lot of social media posts where they added sunflowers for her earrings, but it just didn't look like sunflowers to me. So I just wanted to double check, and I don't think they're sunflowers, to be honest with you. One thing that's really helpful for me when I'm drawing the other eye is to just flip the canvas because I'm more comfortable doing the right eye than I am the left eye. So I just flip the canvas so I just draw two sets of right eyes. I actually did add shading on the eyes in this line art just because I always forget to do that. I always forget to shade the eyes, and doing this just one saved me time, and two, it made sure that I didn't forget about it later. The tapering I made in the original sketch was not intentional to actually fit in with her outfit, but when I was looking at the references, I saw that it actually works quite nicely because her shirt is very similar to that shape that I made. I really just made that just to close off the drawing, but it actually worked out quite nicely. And when I was framing the face for the hair, I didn't want to make it perfect. I added some runaway hairs along the lines there, and it's a lot nicer for me personally. Okay, this hair took me forever to figure out what I wanted to do with it. I really wanted to add little curls on top, but I really had no clue how to draw curly hair. I have curly hair myself, but I've never actually attempted to figure out how to draw that. I mean, when it was all done, it didn't look horrible, but that is definitely something I should probably look into and figure out how to actually draw that. But I basically ended up putting all of these ringlets all around her hair, because she's not wearing a bun, she has a high puff, which just means that she's got thick, short, curly hair, and she put it up into, I guess you could call it a high ponytail, but it's not long enough to fall behind her, so it's just a big puff ball on top of her head. I wanted to add more ringlets, but I didn't really know where to put them. I added in more curls later on in the inside, but they don't look great. I mean, to be honest with you, I made a bit of a mess with how many squiggly lines I added on the inside of the hair, but I mean, curly hair's a mess, so, you know, I guess you could say I actually did an amazing job. But okay, in all seriousness, I didn't like the way her hair looked with just texture on the outside and no texture on the inside, so I tried to add a little something to the volume of her hair, but it wasn't the greatest. And I know it's going to look like a disaster right now, but once I added in all the colors and everything, it ended up looking a lot better. So just sit tight, it'll get better. Okay, and I got a little bit lazy here. I finished one eyebrow, and I just copy-pasted it and flipped it. But like I said, I couldn't really find an eyebrow position that I actually liked. So, you know, I mess around with them a lot. And with that, the line art for this piece is mostly completed, and at this point, I just start coloring her in with her skin tones and her hair and everything. I've seen quite a few drawings of her on social media where I felt like they painted her too light or too dark, so I tried my best to really just color match her skin tone. And I also noticed that the bow that she wears, her headband, it's red, but it's not like a bright red, so I really like the color palette that was used for her character because it's not super in your face, but it's still a really vibrant color palette. I ended up messing up on the hair color I chose for her. Unfortunately, I did not realize this until much later, but I do fix it in this video before I post it. So when I do stylized drawing like this, I put my line art layer on alpha lock, which allows me to recolor all the lines I already drew without having to actually redraw the lines. So I normally end up choosing a color that better suits that area so that it just blends in better. I had a super fun time painting those eyes. She has dark brown eyes, but when dark brown eyes are in light, you know, they get like yellowy and orangey, and I just really loved incorporating just a little bit of those highlights into those eyes. Something I wish I knew a lot sooner when I was starting digital art is that for shadows, you don't just add a darker version of the color you're already using. You gotta go a little more red or a little more blue in order to create that shadow. And when it comes to shading skin color, I honestly just add contour and highlighting in the same way you would when you're putting on makeup. I don't know if that's the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it, but that's just the way that I like to shade my skin, and honestly, I think the result is pretty nice. One of my favorite things to shade and draw is a little button nose like this, so I really enjoyed the whole process of shading it and just it making it look super cute. With that being said, I'm definitely not an expert at makeup. I'm not very good at it. I just looked up contour references on Pinterest, and I just kind of learned where to place darker spots and lighter spots, and that's just how I shade skin now. Okay, and with the skin all rendered out, that's when I realized that the hair color isn't right, so I just started to mess around with the brightness and the saturation of it, and that's the color I settled on. And here I'm outlining the line art for the hair and just making it a different color so that it blends better, so that I can actually color it in with a different color line art. The hair, I don't know, it was really bothering me. There was something missing. I tried to add highlights or shadows. I didn't really know what to do with it, but I ended up adding a shadow on the base of it and then a lighter color all around the edge. And here I'm just adding in the little details that Dolores has on that headband she's wearing. She has these weird like triangle things along the entire band. However, I think adding in all of these details kind of broke Procreate because my layers didn't want to open anymore. I managed to finish pretty much the entire headband when I realized that part of the triangles were on the wrong layer, and when I went to open layers to move it, layers didn't want to open anymore. I ended up exporting the PSD file and uploading it onto Sketchbook Pro and copy and pasting each individual layer. This took like 15 minutes to get right because they didn't copy paste the same way that they were originally in the drawing. So let's just speed run through this disaster. Okay, and now we can finish the drawing. I honestly didn't even think to copy and paste these layers from Sketchbook to Procreate. I just downloaded Sketchbook because it was the app that I started on when I first did digital art, so I was familiar with how the program worked. However, I'm very glad that it occurred to me that Procreate actually allows you to paste stuff in from different softwares. And at this point, all I really have left to do is finish up all the jewelry and all the details in her shirt, which isn't a lot. Also, shout out to Koi, which is the DJ who made this song. I think it's a great remix of We Don't Talk About Bruno, and it was perfect for this video. So I'll leave the link to the original song in the description of this video. I was really confused when it came to the pattern on her shirt because, to be honest with you, it looks like a whole bunch of reverse Wi-Fi symbols, and I just wanted to draw the Wi-Fi symbol because that was the closest thing I could think of, but I finally took my time on it and really got it right. I was a little paranoid that putting all of this in would make Procreate not like me again like it did with the headband, but luckily we survived and nothing happened. It worked just fine. And now I'm just filling in the rest of the line art that I haven't colored yet, just putting in the last touches on everything, and we're pretty much done now. The shading on the gold isn't the greatest when you look at it really close because I didn't actually blend it out fully, but when you zoom out, it actually looks pretty nice. Oh yes, and I removed the line art freckles and added in actual freckles with a different brush, and I'm really glad I did that because it looks a lot better. And there you have it. That's the completed painting. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye!